Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the words of the PELE YOETZ in Ahavas Ish, the Isha, the love of a husband for a wife. Speaking over here about the idea that a woman should not be too expectant of the wealth or the expenditures coming from her husband. She should be understanding of the budget. She should be understanding that he doesn't always have all the means accessible. Sometimes he's a little bit more stingy and a little bit more over demanding than perhaps he should be. Nevertheless, husbands and wives have to learn to be forgiving and forgoing of one another and allow the other person to have what they need, but it should never go overboard. And that's what he continues with it, and he says, a woman should be suspicious of the fact perhaps her husband's not really this rich high roller that she thought that he was. He's too embarrassed to tell her, I don't have the money, I didn't really make such big deals this month, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. So it ends up portraying itself in a way that he's just coming down on her and saying, please don't spend so much money. Because he thinks if he tells her, I didn't make so much money, then it's going to look like he has bad mazel, he's not successful. He doesn't want to look like that. Whatever the answer is going to be, it's clear that the husband doesn't have everything that he needs to be able to satisfy all of the ritzainos, all of the desires of his wife for the acquisitions and the things that she would like to purchase in her life. So the husband's doing it to protect himself. The wife is bothering him, give me the credit card, let me go and spend more. And you're ending up in a bad situation over it because he feels bad that he can't afford everything, and she feels bad because her husband doesn't take care of her. Therefore, don't push the hour. If the husband has asked his wife kindly and nicely, and then sometimes it gets not so nice, but he asks her, please, dear, the credit card bill was $18,000 last month. Please, could you try to keep it down to $10,000? Is that a possibility? My dear wife, I see that every time I walk into the house, there's 5 Amazon boxes with expensive items in the inside. I see that you've made great plans for Pesach, and we're going away to Aruba, and we're flying first class, and we have everything taken care of in the most expensive of the Pesach hotels. Do me a favor, please. How about we'll go to Acapulco instead? We'll fly business class, and it'll be 4.5 stars instead of a 5-star hotel. Is that possible? Therefore, says the PELE YOETZ over here, don't push too hard over here, and don't be harbais b'haitzah. Don't spend too much money against the will of your husband when it's not for his own benefit. If he's asking you for a budget, you have to assume that perhaps the money is not everything that you thought that it was cracked up to be, and instead of stressing him out and making him have heart palpitations every month when the credit card bill comes in, because he knows that he simply doesn't have the funds to cover the bills, you'll be much better off and much happier in this marriage. Therefore, if her husband gets angry with her about seemingly nothing, maybe he had some kind of stressful situation in the office, and because of his anger and the like that he has, the frustration that he brought home with him from business, where he thought he's going to make $1 million, he only made 100, whatever this case might be over there. So they're talking together, creates more and more chaos, and he ends up unfortunately taking it out on his wife. He's not allowed to, and he's not justified. Unfortunately, he does, and therefore the woman should perhaps not take it so personally, is what he's saying. Like people say, yachal or lo yachal, whether it's possible or not possible, im ishtay miskaitet, with his wife he will argue. which means maybe with this one he's not going to, maybe that one he will, maybe this one he'll leave alone. But sadly, and this is not okay, the PELE YOETZ is saying, it's just reality, is that a husband feels most comfortable with the ketata, with the arguments that he has with his wife. And therefore, a woman should try, he's saying, not to take it so personally, because he doesn't mean it against her. It's his personal frustration that he has because he's a man, he wants to make money, he wants to be successful, and it's not coming in the way that he would like it to. So to cover up his inadequate parnasa, so he ends up taking out his frustration on his wife. But a husband, as he writes over here, should be careful not to get too angry and not to be mitzayer, not to cause his wife added pain. So it's working in both ways, from the husband and from the wife. The wife has to be understanding parnasa, livelihood is something that's very much a defining reality of a man, and when he's not successful the way that he could be, makes him feel bad, and therefore he might treat her in ways that is not appropriate, but it's understandable, says the PELE YOETZ, because he's writhing in emotional pain over the lack of success that he has. At the same time, the husband has to be sensitive, has to be understanding. He doesn't have a right to go berserk on his wife just because he's in a bad mood, but sometimes he will be. And nevertheless, says the PELE YOETZ, you don't go out of control. You try to keep it down to a minimum in order that your wife is not going to get offended and sad and despondent and disappointed by the inappropriate behavior of her husband. Have a wonderful day.